Before we get started, Chris, over there, that's Paula Reed. Paula is an ex officio member of the commission. She's a architectural historian, preservation professional, so it's like a consultant position, non-voting member. We also have two other ex officios. One is a sign specialist and also a structural engineer, Dan Matonic. So we have three ex officio non-voting members. Paul is one of the three. Chris is a new member of the commission, and remoting in is Doug Carroll. Doug's the owner of the junior firehouse. He was recently appointed as well.
All right. If we're ready, my name is Michael Gears, Chairman. I call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Historic District Commission to order this 13th day of August 2020. There is a quorum present. The roster of the staff to the commission, and the commission members, and the technical posts that they fill in accordance with the requirements of the Hagerstown zoning ordinance are on file with the city of Hagerstown, or available on request to any applicant, and hereby made a part of the legal record of each and every application heard today. All decisions rendered are based on the Secretary of Interior's standards and guidelines as adopted by the city of Hagerstown. Each decision is made on a case-by-case basis and is not intended to be precedent setting. If you have any cell phones or other electronic devices, please make sure that they have been silenced. We have two types of cases today. We have consent agenda and design reviews. For the consent agenda, I'll ask anybody in our audience if they have any issues with those particular cases. If not, I will then ask commission members if they have any issues with any of the consent agenda items. If there are no issues, then we will blanket approve those particular cases, and those applicants will be free to go. For design reviews, when your case is called, please, which table do you want them to, which table they come on? Right to the table over there. Please state your name and address for the record, and there will be a brief synopsis of your application from the staff consultant. After that, the floor will then be turned over to the applicant for any further elaboration on that particular case. After that, the floor will then be open for discussion by our commission members prior to rendering a decision on that application. At this time, we have approval of the minutes for July 23rd, 2020. Any corrections, modifications? If not, we'll entertain a motion for adoption.
I so move.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all approval of the minutes for July 23rd, 2020, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, consent agenda items, HDC 2020-27 for 831 Oak Hill Avenue for rear patio and front porch repairs. HDC case 2020-28 for 96 West Washington Street for window graphics. I take it nobody in our audience would be speaking out against those particular cases. Commission members, any concern with these particular cases? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion for adoption.
Mr. Chairman, I have reviewed the materials and submitted in cases HDC 2020-27 and 2020-28 and their associated staff reports and recommendations. And I have viewed the properties in question. The staff reports recommend approval of these applications and is consistent with the applicable standards adopted by this commission. And no one has appeared at this hearing with concerns about, issues with, or objections to these applications. Therefore, I move that this commission adopt the staff evaluations and recommendations in these cases as its own and grant certificates of appropriateness to the applicants for cases HDC 2020-27 and 2020-28.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? No abstentions? Motion passes. All right,
How did Doug vote? Doug,
Yes, I'm on.
how did you vote on that?
I affirmed it, yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, for the Knowles and the Aragons, you're done. Okay. Certainly. Nope. No, we'll send you a verification letter that it's been approved. All right.
That's right. Next up, design review, HDC case 2020-29 for 1003 The Terrace for a new garage. State your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Green with Corey's Construction. I am representing Dr. Farah for 1003 The Terrace.
Okay, this is HDC case 2020-29. The applicant is Michael Green with Corey's Construction. The property is located at 1003 The Terrace. Property is in the Oak Hill Historic District. It's a B resource. It contributes to the character of the district, but is not likely to qualify for National Register listing individually. Photographs of the property are shown on page 1 of your staff report. The larger photograph labeled as view from West Hillcrest Road is the general vicinity of where the proposed garage will be located back toward the rear of the driveway that's shown in that photograph. Description of design guideline references are pages through 20 through 31 of the residential district guidelines. Description of working plans. The owner of the property is proposing to construct an 1,800 square foot, 1.5 story addition, detached garage with living space in the bonus area and an enclosed area on the deck providing enclosed access from the house to the garage. Materials will be as follows: Certainteed Main Street clapboard vinyl siding in Colonial White, Certainteed Carriage House shingles in Sherwood Forest, Provia Stone Terracotta slate. Gables will be sided with on the left and stone on the right. Haas American Traditional Series 931 garage door in mahogany. Owners will supply a 6-panel steel fire door. Anderson 400 white windows, 6-inch white aluminum gutters, Mirandex D5 white soffit, and Azek PVC white exterior trim. Staff recommendation is to be provided at the meeting. The work will be minimally visible from public ways. Secretary of Interior Standards number 2 and 9 apply. What we're dealing with here is roughly a larger than a 2.5 car garage. There's 2 garage doors with a fairly steeply pitched roof. There's going to be some finished space in the second floor with access across the deck on the back of the property. Just to give you some background, the zoning ordinance used to limit detached garages to no more than 900 square feet and 1 story. Earlier this year, text amendments were made to the zoning ordinance that for larger properties over a certain minimum square footage would allow them also to be 2 stories and up to 1,800 square feet. This property qualifies. As a matter of fact, this is possibly maybe the largest individual or second largest individual residential property in the entire city. It's quite a large property. There are setback requirements, and the way this is set up, the garage addition will be, or the garage will be compliant with setbacks, whether it's considered as a part of the principal structure or as a freestanding structure. For some reason, the garage, the deck goes away sometime in the future. Because they're so big, the thought was that they had to be held to principal structure setbacks rather than accessory structure setbacks, which could be as little as 4 or 5 feet from property lines, given how large they are. But in this particular case, it more than meets all of those setbacks. And even if the deck that is between the garage and the house were to go away at some point, this garage still complies with those setbacks, so there'd be no issue there. The materials were provided in your packet. We did send a copy of the materials out to Dr. Reed late last week, and for the most part, her analysis, and I'll let her talk about it in more detail, but her analysis is that generally the proposed garage is consistent new construction within the historic district. She did have a couple of comments and suggestions that we forwarded to Mike as far as making the building blend in a bit more with the principal structure that it's subordinate to. So with that, I'll turn it over to the applicant.
Yes, I mean, I believe everything. I did go through a workshop about a month ago, tried to answer as much questions and took your input. Would you like me actually, Dr. Reed, to answer some of your questions that was presented to me? I got them about an hour ago.
Okay.
The issue, the existing roof structure is a glazed terracotta that is no longer in production. That was sought after, and the idea behind that is that we could not find anything similar. Metal roofing material we thought stuck out too much. The suggestion of white siding moving to a tan was actually brought up by the owner. And I just forwarded this over to him a little while ago. I'm not sure of the procedures if we change colors or if we have to go through adaptations, if we do adopt that recommendation.
What we would do is if you want to make that as an amendment to your application, that would be considered part of this record, and we would just follow up with getting something from you as far as manufacturer's literature or a sample of the siding, just to reflect.
There's the siding that's currently being selected has a wide range of sidings and tans and clays that could be added. Off the top of my head, I did print out your email. The single gable, which would be on the right side, and I apologize, yes, in my plat, I do have a north-facing direction. So basically, the garage, front of the garage, almost sits directly south, a little south, maybe southwest. What would be the right gable facing the eastern direction is going to be stone, and the only idea of that being was that it's what's visible from the deck, and a purely aesthetic reason for the client to sit at the deck and look at stone instead of the siding. It's not visible for the road. I will suggest to the client that whole side be made stone. I think the deck is going to block the majority of that view in any direction. Were there any other direct questions you had that I missed?
I don't think so. I think that covers it. I was trying to remember what all I wrote. I don't think there was anything else.
Paul, would you like your email?
Maybe I should have.
I'm reading it right now. Believe me,
Okay.
that's-
I think I did comment that the green shingles, I think, go a long way to help
Yes.
make it blend, the green shingles blend in with the green on the roof of the main house.
And the carriage house is not it's more of an octave, or 3 sides meant to look kind of more like a tile than an actual square, asphalt slate shingle.
Mhm.
So that was another aspect that we were hoping to bring in. It's just the feasibility of finding existing materials to match that roof was just an utter nightmare, and it would all have to be custom made, placing
Right.
the costs almost above what the cost of the construction of the garage is.
Yeah, the other question I had was the slate veneer because of the printout that we got, which the printer was running out of ink, and so the color was pretty wonky looking. So what is the actual color of those slates that?
The client picked something very similar to the stone that's existing now.
Mhm.
I have passed your recommendation on for, I believe that now that you say that you were looking for maybe a brick style.
Well, something that would sort of, it doesn't necessarily be brick. I mean, that was just suggestion that potentially, but the
existing-
stone to be, sort of blend in with the rest of the house.
And I know scans and printouts never show colors
Yeah.
accurately, but I mean, it is more in the tan
Is it?
tan
Okay.
department that, yes, with hints of gray.
Mhm.
A more natural limestone that you would like field stone you would find in the area is what the idea would be.
Any other commission members have any questions?
Staff just has one question. The
Yes, sir.
one elevation shows something that looks like a privacy fence going around the deck.
That's existing,
That's existing.
yes.
Got it.
Right.
Okay, that's all I have.
The plans that you're showing there are, I guess, one plan shows the deck short, one plan shows the deck coming all the way over to the garage. And then, the elevations showing the privacy fence, are they extending the deck all the way over to the
So
garage?
there is a partial section under, so A3 is showing the existing deck how it is, with A4 showing the alterations of what the deck will be. And that deck is being extended to actually butt up against the new garage. This does not make this, my understanding for zoning purposes, this does not make this an attached dwelling, but still considered a detached dwelling. The idea is to access the second floor living area from the deck area. And the same materials that are on the existing deck are just being used because we're removing some of that vinyl privacy and just adding one more section to the right side.
Okay. No, I just wanted to make sure I was understanding
Yes.
what was really happening, because the plans are kind of showing a couple different
Correct.
directions, so I just wanted to make sure we were clear as to, so the deck does go all the way over. So the window out of the, lack of a better description, the attic area would peer out onto the deck itself.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Just so we're clear, what's being built is not a separate dwelling unit. It's
Right.
it's not going to be a separate livable space. Basically, to hear Dr. Barad's place for him to kick his grandkids into. Go entertain yourself, kids. And that kind of thing.
The application, I think, dealt with a lot of the materials on the carriage house itself, the enclosure of the deck. I assume it's the siding somewhat the same, you're using the same green shingles.
Correct.
And that
Those
area.
materials are the exact same.
Just, you may want to check, I know the bonus room, the stairs coming up there with the doors right there, permits may require landing. Because you don't
Yes.
have anywhere to, to come up the top of the steps and actually open the door. Any other comments from commission members? Any concerns?
You're close to having construction plans ready to submit for building.
I think the last thing is we were waiting on the final engineering from the trusses to submit.
All right. So the only real question is not so much the finalization on the colors of the siding, and just making sure we have a clear stone selection or confirmation.
Yes, it would be the recommendation of the committee or what is currently here. So is it possible for the application to just either or to not delay approval, or?
The commission can only vote to approve or disapprove what you put in front of them. So if you want to amend the application to allow for both options, we've done that before. Or if you just want to go to the other option discussed, you could do, it's up to you to amend your application.
Okay, I would think that we would currently sit as we are right now, because that's the way the application is. And so that we can speed this on through approval.
And that would be,
We're going to keep, the application currently states the white siding with the terracotta cut stone and.
Right. Any other comments? Mr. Carroll, any comments?
Okay.
Still there? All right. Doug, did you have any comments? No?
somebody just muted him.
Okay. Doug, you there? Okay, all right. Well,
I'm sorry. I unmuted myself, but I still had myself muted on the phone. No, I don't have any comments right now. I'll be honest. I'm still trying to kind of get oriented to this, as I appreciate it. You had expressed possibility of two options, but the contractor wants to keep the application as is. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes, correct.
If there's no other comments, we'll entertain, sounds like everybody's in agreement to move this one forward. We'll entertain a motion for such action.
Mr. Chairman, I've inspected the project plans and the property in question, and if it's constructed in accordance with these plans, the project is compatible with the character of the district for the reason that the setback materials, architectural detailing, roof, windows, general form and proportion are generally in harmony with the architectural design guidelines for the residential preservation design districts and the character of the adjoining properties. Therefore, I move that the HDC grant a certificate of appropriateness to the applicant for case number HDC 2020-29.
Is there a second? All right, it's been seconded. Any further discussion?
Who seconded?
Leslie? All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Motion passes.
Mike, obviously, you're probably reluctant not to make amendments to the application without consulting with Dr. Farah. Those are relatively minor, so with this being approved, you can move forward to your building permit. It's probably going to be a little while before you order materials anyway. If you talk to Dr. Farah, and I think Dr. Reed's recommendations were pretty good ideas to help it all blend together. If you talk to him and he agrees to make changes, if we submit them as an amendment, we can get that one as a consent agenda item. I mean, we're talking about essentially a color of siding, which the commission has limited control over anyway, plus that material. I could just throw that on to an upcoming agenda as a consent item. You wouldn't even need to come.
Okay, great. I appreciate that.
So if you could do us the courtesy of presenting it to Dr. Farah and see if you can get him to,
Yes, I did
Agree
forward
to
this
it.
email, and I got a quick okay, and that was about what I got. So,
Okay.
yes, I'm sure I'll have a discussion with him either this evening or tomorrow, and we'll be able to follow up with you either tomorrow or the first of the week.
And like I said, we could put it on for an upcoming meeting as consent. You could apply for your building permits tomorrow if you wanted to,
Right.
because it'll take a little while to process that anyway. So we got time before you would be ordering materials
Yes,
anyway.
yes, we do. So,
Okay.
thank you very much, everyone.
All right. All right, next up then is a workshop for, gotta put the glasses back on, 941 Forest Drive for a proposed addition and vinyl siding.
Okay, this is for Mr. Schwartzbeck's property at 941 Forest Drive. Did you get the photograph in your packet? You did, okay. Basically, what we got is a kind of cottagey kind of style house up on Forest Drive. Mr. Schwartzbeck contacted us about doing an addition, and then also he was talking about putting vinyl siding on the building, the historic building itself. And given that that's inconsistent with the design guidelines, we suggested to him that since he's going to be looking to do an addition, come in and kind of just discuss the issues with you all, so you can give them some guidance so they can go forward and make the appropriate plans for their work.
Okay. What do you need from us? This is our first, honestly, we just found out we were in the historical commission. We back up to non-historical, and we are just 5 houses down from each of us is non-historical. So we were just curious as to what our parameters would be to do a 24 by 24 in-law suite off of the basement.
Because his father would be moving in with us. So that's what the extension was.
And the vinyl siding, that was just in conversation. It doesn't necessarily have to be vinyl siding, I know it has to match with what the building has right now.
not necessarily match, but be complementary with.
Now, what if it was vinyl that matched? Because I know they make vinyl that's the wide plank that looks just like the wood, and I would be far-fetched to say that we could probably drive through the historical houses and probably find some vinyl.
Okay, probably the best thing to do is for me to explain to you a little bit about what the general standards are. The historic house itself is held to a higher standard than new construction. New construction is not supposed to be intended to try to fake people out into thinking it's part of the original construction of the house. It should look like something that's a product of its times, 2020,
Okay.
rather than trying to fake somebody out thinking it was built in 1920. So you do have flexibility on an addition. When Debbie took your call, what I understood part of your request was that you were thinking about vinyl siding the entire house.
We were thinking about it, but that was
Okay.
before we knew what
Yeah.
we were,
Because his dad is paying for the whole thing, and he said, well, if
Right.
I'm gonna vinyl my side, let me go ahead and
he wants to
vinyl.
do the whole house.
And at that time, we did not even know we're in the historical district, but
Yeah,
if
we just
that's
found
not
Right.
an option, we're not even gonna worry about.
But
doing
like I
vinyl.
said, there's vinyl in the neighborhood.
What you're proposing to do or what you may propose to do to the historic part of the house would be held to a higher standard than an addition that you're
Okay.
putting on the back.
Okay, so then take off the vinyl siding as of now and just deal with the
Well,
addition.
let me just kind of walk you through the process a little bit. Then as far as feedback and comment, I'll then turn it over to them so you all can communicate.
Yep.
And just so we're clear, this suite that you're putting on the back of the house, it's just like a bedroom and a bathroom kind of thing. You're not
Yep.
putting a separate dwelling unit in, correct?
No,
When you
it's
say
attached.
separate detached, it'll be
It's to be
attached.
attached. It's almost like it'll have a little kitchenette, but there's not gonna be a stove.
Okay, we would need to be, from a zoning standpoint, which is different than HDC, we're going to need to verify that your property is large enough to have a two-family dwelling, if that qualifies as a two-family dwelling.
Well, let's just say we're doing an addition.
For the purposes of this conversation, that's good.
Okay.
And we can work out the details to get you in under the radar from a zoning standpoint, as a separate conversation
Okay.
as zoning administrator. But the process with the HDC is, again, generally, the historic part of the building, the existing part of the building is held to a higher standard than new construction. If you're putting new construction, like you probably were following the conversation with the prior case, they're building this new garage that's kind of semi-attached to the back of the house. Nobody's going to think that garage is part of the original construction of the house.
I'm not sure
The
anybody
idea
can
is
see that house, but.
Yeah, you can barely see it.
Right.
But it's designed in such a way, it's still using modern materials, they're still using vinyl siding, but it's designed in such a way where it doesn't stand out and draw negative attention away from the historic nature of the main building. It blends in.
Yep.
And that's kind of the standard that you would be held to here with an addition on the back
Makes
of the
sense.
house is what you're proposing may be modern, but how would it blend with the historic building that you're building onto? And with that, I'll step aside and let you all have your conversation.
Yeah, describe a little bit more what you're planning, I mean, size, but, gabled,
24 by 24. We're actually waiting for designs. We're going on vacation next week, and when we come back, we'll have the designs from our builder. But at 24 by 24, it was going to come out the back door. There's a wall there now. The wall was going to be gone. It was just going to be a square 24 by 24 addition coming off the back, which would match, if you had pictures of the back there, looking from, was that Woodland?
Yeah, we don't like,
Yeah, we're thinking it would match there's a bump out in the house already that comes down and the roof is sloped. And we were thinking that it would come down and it would have the same slope on the new part to kind of blend into the house.
Just so I'm clear, is this a picture of the back of your house?
No, that's the front.
that's the front.
Our house is very unique. There's the front
Our
door,
parking's in the back.
Our
We were
parking
off
is-
of
yeah.
Woodlawn, or Woodland.
Woodland, yeah.
Woodland.
yeah, this is
But our house is sideways. Our front door is on the side of the house.
Forest Drive, I live
Right.
close.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the front of your house as faces forest, but your rear of your house does front the Woodland Way,
Yes.
which is something that you'll take into account that it's visible from a public way.
Non-historical.
Now, just keep in mind, you have a very deep lot from Forest Drive
Yep.
to Woodland Way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So unless you're actually looking for the addition, you probably wouldn't notice it.
I agree. Yeah, because it really, it's just going to come out to where that, actually, I think it's just 2 feet beyond that, there's an
An existing wall.
existing retaining wall that was there. And
We're just extending.
it was just, yeah,
extension
that
to
wall is,
wall.
yeah, that basement wall is just going to come out to like 2 feet beyond that existing wall.
So it's still going to be 60, 70, 80 feet away from Woodland then?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
more than that? Okay.
yeah. Yeah,
I'm
we're,
not going to that block very often, so.
yeah, we have a deep, it's a good deep lot, so,
Those lots on Forest Drive to Woodland Lake are very deep lots.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
I don't know why you want to mow one of them. I'm sorry.
Any
So
other-
like in feet, are we talking like 200 feet, 300 feet, 400
Probably
feet?
closer to 300.
Yeah.
From Woodland Way to Forest
Yeah.
or?
Mhm.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Would, just out of curiosity and your ideas while you're putting your plan together, would you, even though that we don't match the house to make it look historic, but we want to blend it, would you be interested in windowing it with the same style of windows that are on the existing structure?
Yeah, I mean.
To make it all look like.
The existing structure has updated windows, and this was before we bought the house last year, so, I mean, if you want us to match it, it's not gonna probably be with, I would assume what you guys would, I don't know if they went through approval for the windows, I know that they're updated windows. So-
My just question was, with your addition, not looking to exactly match, but because it's a new construction, would you be looking to have the same style of windows on the back, so it's all inclusive, even though it's a separate? Sure.
That are currently in the house?
When you say style, you mean like 6/6?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think these are 6/6.
Yeah, they're 6/6.
Would you be doing something, are you looking for something else? Like, 'cause
Oh, no, I mean, windows, we would match whatever's there to, we're not replacing any of the windows, so we would do the best to match what's there.
Other comments?
Now, for the siding, and I understand, so what are the different materials that we could use on the addition? Does it have, that's what I don't know.
I mean, you could use brick, obviously the house isn't brick, I mean, it's a wood siding. One material that generally holds up very well is called hardy plank.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cementitious material, it holds paint very well, and that would give you probably a much closer look to your wood siding
Yep.
than maybe some of the vinyls would at that point.
Now, and if we went that route, would it be okay to do the whole house with that?
You could certainly clad the existing house with the hardy
Okay.
plank,
Okay,
because that's closer to the replication of the wood.
right,
And the standards have, we've used that or approved that in the past with,
Okay.
with the hardy plank
Okay.
on there.
and I know our builder has worked in homes that have been in the historical district, so I think he's aware of, what he's working with.
And we understand that if some of the existing materials would, probably what was constructed back then, much denser wood, where today's wood is not quite as dense, it rots much quicker.
Right.
So, I mean, we understand that, not that the historic trust always, agrees with some of that. We understand what you're going through and you want a limited maintenance. Obviously, hardy plank still needs to be painted periodically.
Yep.
But it should hold the paint for a good period of time as long as you're using a
Okay.
quality paint. So that's probably the best material.
And then I heard the last gentleman, he was talking about color.
We don't necessarily regulate color,
Okay.
but we want you to select colors that are compatible with the house and the neighborhood.
Right,
We're
so
not,
no hot pink.
yeah, we're not big fans of something,
Yeah.
bold statement, not,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and, historically, there were times when folks did use bold paint just to stand out.
right.
But,
But if we're talking like a tan or something like that, that's, we're not looking to go bold at all,
we
you
don't,
know?
yeah, we don't regulate the color.
Yeah, we don't.
So we're just looking for something that's compatible.
You got it.
No.
Yep.
Color came up in that last one because the existing house is a tan color.
Gotcha.
Proposing the bright white.
Okay,
And it was a suggestion being made to make it blend better.
right.
Not
Okay.
so much that, again, this body technically does not have the authority to regulate paint color. We kind of worm our way into it a little bit in certain contexts, such as building an addition and making it blend with the existing building.
Right.
But if somebody, if you go down South Prospect Street, there's a purple house down there.
Yes.
Okay,
And there's one on Oak Hill that's blue.
Yeah, there was nothing
Yeah.
that we could do to stop painting that house purple.
gotcha. Okay.
Or it's teal or whatever it was, it's some, whatever it is. it's-
Yeah, we're not looking to make a statement like that.
Pretty obvious,
And in all honesty, we want the new structure to blend in with the existing structure as much as possible. I mean, we're not looking to build, something very
Yeah.
modern off the back of the house. We want it to fit with the house.
This is kind of happening fast because his dad's health is going downhill and he lives in Damascus. So he's selling his house in Damascus and moving in with us.
Now, and you were bringing up what would it be used for? Now, what do we need to consider with that?
Let you and I have a conversation tomorrow,
Okay.
that's separate from this, because that's not an HDC issue.
Gotcha, okay,
I would need to get more detail. I
Right.
also want to do a little bit of property research on it, because a lot of it's based on the size and configuration of the land,
gotcha.
Okay.
as far as zoning goes. So let you and I have a conversation on that tomorrow. And as a matter of fact, I might be able to give you a good answer without even having to have a conversation. I could just email you a response. I might research the zoning and find out it's perfectly fine to do a second dwelling unit. I'm not sure.
Okay,
Okay.
yep.
All right.
Now, and that's fine, we'll do it.
If you're going to, if you're going to clad the existing wood house, do keep in mind that there are certain pieces like the shutters and stuff that would need to come off
Mhm.
the siding go on, and then the shutters go back on, because
Right.
those shutters are part of the architecture of the building.
They are, yep, they're, I believe, original.
They are.
Yeah.
They're thick.
The other thing, keep in mind, as you add on to the back, there's a lot of landscaping right now. Once you put the addition on, you may want to make sure you're doing some landscaping, because if you clear an area, it's going to open it up to the woodland, and that.
Landscaping's my thing, trust me, there'll be landscaping out there.
So, all right. Anything else by commission members?
Now, what would the next step be? We come back from vacation, we get the drawings, do we submit that? This is all new to us, to be honest.
What I would recommend right now, since we haven't seen the actual drawings, you may
Right.
want to do another workshop. Give us a chance to kind of look at the
Bring the
drawings.
drawings?
Yeah,
Okay,
submit send the drawings to Steve, and that way he can give them to us, and we can give you better feedback on that before you really come in. Not that we anticipate right now any major issues,
Right.
but give us a chance to kind of look at what you're proposing, and that way, if there's something we need to work out, we can do so in that, as opposed to getting into a final application where we're going to ask you to make modifications or reject it or something like that,
Right,
which
right.
we try not to do,
Okay.
but we'd rather work through it, as long as that doesn't, it adds another 2 weeks, but I think we can turn that around pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So,
And
Well, I'm
then,
finding this whole process takes forever anyway.
You just have to keep in mind, we meet second and fourth Thursdays.
Yep,
So if you get your plans and come back and want to do another workshop,
okay,
we're ready for it.
and if you do that workshop and you get any of the last minute wrinkles worked out, then your final, when you actually make your official submission, it should slide right on through.
okay, perfect. And we'll touch base tomorrow on the use and everything.
Yeah.
Perfect.
He has your email?
Do you have my email?
She does.
Okay, yeah. Was I emailing with you?
Yeah.
Thank you, guys, appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, next up, new business. Anything needs to be brought before this commission?
We had one member, or one of the recipients of the Preservation Awards unable to attend the ceremony. We have them scheduled to receive theirs this coming Tuesday.
Okay.
Mike, do you want to attend, or Chris, do you want to follow up since you were at the last one?
Yeah, I can come next Tuesday,
Okay, that's fine. That'll
It'll be
work.
4:00. It's not an evening meeting, it's a 4:00 meeting.
4:00.
Okay, and we'll be the first thing on the agenda, so be in and out by 4:05.
Any other new business? All right, any old business we need to go over? I take it everything ran smoothly for the awards the other night for you?
Oh, yeah.
All right, great. All right, hearing no old business, any announcements? All right, everybody's quiet tonight. We'll move to the last item. Anybody willing to adjourn?
Second.
All right, so good. See everybody back on the 27th.
We're letting people clad historic wood siding now. Am I missing something? I didn't think we did that.
I can't remember that we have. I remember there was one on, was it Hamilton, where they were using hardy plank, but I think that was just
Was
like
that
in a
new, or was
rare
that a-
edition.
I mean, hardy plank, and even vinyl for that matter, has been okay for additions. I was kind of surprised at your all's reaction regarding siding over the historic wood siding on this house.
I think with their private.
Hey, Steve, this is Doug.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still new, so I was a little reluctant to say anything, but I was thinking the same thing. You know, I have a little consternation with the, siding versus actual wood when you're talking about historical structures. So it's pretty insightful what you were saying. It's still a little bit fuzzy to me.
That was only my
I'm
opinion.
not sure why you would want a historic building and not use historic materials, but that's just me.
I just wanted to kind of plant that and ask, especially seeing that technically we've officially gone off the record, but we're still recording here. So we shouldn't, and the applicant as
Oh.
well. So we shouldn't get into
Okay.
a conversation here, but I wanted to kind of broach the issue for possible future conversation when they come in back for the workshop.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I just got to learn a little bit more, I think.
Hopefully everybody.
All right, we're done. Thanks.
Okay. Sorry I
Thank you.
couldn't be there in person.
It's okay. Thanks, Doug.
Okay, I'm out.